are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome inside a Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig alongside DJ Yoakley, going into the first full week of this new look Running Point with rotating guest host. DJ, welcome into the new week.
Hey, thanks, man. It's always good to be here naturally, and a big week behind us, big week in front of us. It just keeps on rolling here at the network.
It's a machine, and it like you said yesterday when the power went out in the studio, it goes quick, but it's also kind of like a blackout.
Yeah, I mean, if you're familiar with the movie Old School, I feel like Frank the Tank, and he just kind of wakes up in week 16, and it's Christmas, and it's like, oh, okay, good seeing you, wife. Hello,
We
children.
have a couple of big results that came in through last night, and one I like to start with milestones. When someone hits a milestone, you got to give them a shout out. Kara English scores her 100th career goal in Waterloo's 14-4 victory in the girls' soccer realm over Columbiana. DJ, a couple of games into her junior season, 100 career goals already. She is on her way. You would expect, if everything goes right, to break a state record for career goals for the state of Ohio.
I mean, Kara is a name we've heard multiple sports, but soccer seems to be sticking with her. And to nail down 100 goals, just like you said, Ann, a couple games into her junior season, I think that speaks volumes as to the potential that young lady has to carry it on maybe to the next level. You know, you just never know, especially with multi-sport athletes. You just never know what they want to choose. They could be good at all sports, but, you know, their heart can only be kind of in one of them, if that makes sense.
It sets up a huge matchup with Springfield on Wednesday. The reigning MVAC champions will come down to Waterloo. Going to be a big matchup between the Vikings and the Tigers. The Tigers won last night as well, 6-1 over Crestview. So, you know, it's all set up for the big primetime showdown on Wednesday.
I mean, this is a big week of sports leading into next week. I think week 4 is the most interesting football kind of schedule on the map. You know, if we're going just across the board, and I think for soccer, there's a lot of great matchups coming up. We saw South Range of Poland last night, Crestview and Springfield, and this one's going to be no different.
And in that South Range of Poland game, it was Poland that kind of ran away with it after a scoreless first half. They came out at halftime. They scored 4 goals in about 20 minutes, and it's a good thing they did because the rain came and that game was shortened due to inclement weather. So Poland gets the win. They played enough of it to call it a complete game. I don't actually know how much you have to play in a soccer game for it to be an official game, but they played enough of it. So it was 4-0. Poland does get the victory, and that is their first win of the season. They are one. I mean, it's early. They're 1-1. South Range 0-3-1.
I think it's interesting, inclement weather on a turf track. You know what I mean? Like those things are built to withstand the weather, and I understand they can get slick and things of that nature. But the reality is like it's an all-weather, all-purpose field. So I maybe because of lightning.
That's the only thing I can think of. Like it was. We had thunderstorms during the day, but I didn't hear any at night. But I'm not in Canfield.
I'm a long ways from Canfield,
right,
further than you, my friend.
Who knows? Maybe there was a little cell over South Range High School.
Well, if they were paying attention and downloaded the Storm Tracker 21 app, they know exactly where they were where they stood in the weather wise.
And so that's a victory for Poland. Those two have battled for the NE8 in that sport for a while, so we'll have to keep an eye on round 2 and see if South Range can bounce back and still make that an NE8 championship bout.
I mean, the NE8 doesn't matter. The sport's it's always a fight. We talked about it yesterday on the Power Hour. It's just a constant battle. I mean, it could be golf, it could be cross country. As long as there's two teams from the NE8, they're going to compete against each other, and it's going to get it's good quality fun. It's good quality sportsmanship, but it is ugly. Like, they're not afraid to get down and dirty.
We saw an NE8 team in action last night in volleyball, and it was a wild one in Hubbard. They welcomed in Howland and DJ. I've done a lot of volleyball. I haven't seen a lot of games where a team gets just dominated the first 2 sets. I mean, it looked like Howland was going to come in, wipe their hands, get out, and let's go into the next game. It was 25-13, 25-12 in the first 2 sets. And then out of nowhere, Hubbard started to just play amazing defense. They were not letting balls drop. They were diving all over the floor. It was spectacular to see. And they just wore down Howland. They won 2 sets in a row. And then the 5th set, that's where it really got wild. It went all the way to 21-19 in a first to 15 set 5. You still got to win by 2. So they kind of went 6 extra points. There were a couple of controversial calls. There were a couple of times where the referee stopped the game to conversate with each other to try to decide what the call was going to be. It was just a nuts volleyball match.
How do you converse on a game that doesn't have replay? Like, there's not a whole lot to talk about. And a lot of these and again, excuse me, because I'm not an official, so I don't want to criticize, but I've always wondered, like, what is there to talk about? Like, you can't overrule anything because there's no strong evidence to do so. And especially in a game like that, I mean, did anything get overruled, or were they just,
no, it was just, I think they were trying to decide why they were making the call they were going to make.
That's interesting.
Howland was up 16-15 with the serve, and they had a girl who was not in the service for, like, it wasn't her turn to serve, go back to serve, and she threw the ball up. And this is a rule that I didn't know in volleyball. I've learned it last night. If you throw it up and let it fall, you're okay. But if you catch it when you throw it up, then that's like a dead ball. It's the other team's point. 1, she was out of rotation, and 2, she caught the ball instead of letting it fall. So as far as I knew, as soon as she threw the ball up and they were out of rotation, it should have been a point for Hubbard either way. But there was a long conversation about, was it Hubbard's point? Was she out of rotation? Did she put the ball in play? It got kind of intense. The crowd was getting really intense, and Hogue had to come on the PA system and try to calm everybody down. It got kind of, tensions were rising. I mean, it was a 5 set and it was in extra points.
I wish I was there to hear Kevin on the PA mic. Ladies and gentlemen, please calm down.
It was cool because he is the quietest, most assertive. Like, he's assertive. He owns the room when he walks in because he's a big dude. But then he just kind of nonchalantly gets on the mic and he, like you said, like, gentlemen, this isn't going to solve anything. Let's just let them figure it out and move on.
Please don't throw bottles. Also, the concession stand is open. Get warm pizza. I love Kevin. I like, one of my favorite people, hands down. He's been in our corner for so long, and he's a fun guy to talk to, because he knows sports. He loves baseball, so he's a baseball guy. So that's kind of where our cloth starts to mend a little bit. But, like, Kevin's one of those straight shooters, like Hoagie he's a guy that you just, like, he's going to go, why are we doing this? Why are people getting on the refs? Why are people like, this is a youth sports situation. Like, why are these referees? Cause he understands that the referees are getting paid. Right. I don't want to say next to nothing, but they're not getting paid what they should be to take that kind of abuse.
And the referees last night handled it really well. I mean, they were just kind of went about their job. They never turned and engaged with the crowd. They just kind of had their conversations. They let it take as long as they needed to take, and then they moved on. So,
ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, the concession stand is open, and tickets for tomorrow's game are still available on our website. Thank you, and have a great evening.
That's a perfect Kevin Hogue impression right there.
I can't do a Hogue impression. He's got a certain dialect in his voice that I can't do. I could try it, but I'd have to hear him talk again. But he's so like he's just calm. He's just
Right.
a cool cat, never too rattled. He's always very confident. He's the kind of AD you want to have.
And he was doing his money's worth last night because he was going back and forth between soccer at the football field and trying to check in on volleyball every now and then. So if you're not in the world, if you're not, if you don't know how busy an AD's life can get, if you have multiple sports going on at your school in one day, that's kind of an idea. I mean, he was going back and forth between the football field and then making the walk into the gym and checking in on the volleyball team, and then back to the football field for soccer, back to the volleyball gym. So it's not somewhere where you can just sit and relax and watch a game because you're the AD.
No, and I'm sure I'll get a call from him. He likes to call when I'm on my victory lap. Always. He's like, "Are you on your victory lap?" No. All right. Well, I'll call you back when you are.
I'll call you back when you are.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
DJ, earlier this morning, we released our Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley winners, and you previewed it yesterday. It was a close one in volleyball and a not so close one in football.
Yeah, it was one of those situations where I wanted to get him out yesterday, just ran out of time. So Tara Lytle from Lakeview, absolute standout star for the Lady Bulldogs, wins it by less than 100 over, it was Lauren, wasn't it?
Lauren Pallone, yeah.
Lauren Pallone. Yeah, so that one was tight. Vinny Balone on the other side of Louisville, I mean, he's got 14 touchdowns right now and through 2 weeks. He had over 20,000 votes, and I think there was 37,000 total.
Right.
A couple poor showings. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of disappointed. The reason we do this isn't because we're sitting there trying to crown kids necessarily. It helps out with just getting them attention, and we're able to shine a light on 6 kids at a time per sport. So, this is not like an MVP type thing. It's a vote. It's a popularity vote. It's a popularity contest. It's for a t-shirt, so Louisville understood the assignment and, clamped down with 20,000 votes for Vinny. And he is your week 1 Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley, as well as Tara Lytle.
And that's why I like that we don't just pick a player of the week and just move on. I mean, we pick 6, we pick those players, but then we give it to the communities and say, you guys, it's deciding on a winner. It's about showing. I think the biggest thing is it's about these kids really understanding how much their community is backing them.
And that's exactly it, man. I think that's, and it's not just their community, because we can see the IP addresses. We can see it because we don't want, someone going in. I mean, if you want to vote 20,000 times, go ahead, but you're probably going to get blocked from our website because it's going to think you're a terrorist. Yeah, we just want these kids to feel a little bit of love and feel important. It's a great way to promote these kids. It's a great way. We appreciate all Baird Brothers continues to do with us. They've been our first ever corporate sponsor, always there if we need something. And the thing that I told them was, we want to give the opportunity, like you said, so eloquently, for the communities to have their say. And they do for better and for worse. I mean, one of the kids, I felt so bad. He only had 120 votes or something along those lines. And, that's nothing to snicker at, but it's also something that it's concerning. You want these kids to be supported, and 125 votes or 120 votes, whatever it was, compared to 20,000, you sit there and you go, how do we ramp it up in that community? How do we push it better in that community so that kid has a chance? Because kid's a very good athlete.
Yeah, and really, like, everyone that gets on that list is on that list for a reason. They had an amazing week, and they, that we've decided that they earned their spot on that Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley nomination list. So every one of those athletes that we put on every week absolutely deserves the highlight of just being called the Baird Brother Big Dog of the Valley nominee. Mm-hmm. But like you said, like, it is kind of, it's a call to action to us every time I see a vote total that's, 300 or lower. It's like, well, I'm the social media director. How do I get social media impact in that community? How do I get them to know that their player needs votes? And
it's a fine line, because we can't sit there and put one player over another, for more than one reason. And some of the reasons are obvious, but it's one of those things where you want the vote to be a little bit more level, a little bit more balanced, and you feel bad for those. But we'll hear it at the end of the year about how well, our kids are never represented. That's not true. We do 6 at a time, and we're always taking nominations on a weekly basis of show us. A lot of right now it's us kind of internally saying, hey, this is what we see. This is how we feel. We think these 6 are good. These 6 are good, and let's go with it. I got the question, why don't we do soccer? Well, I'm going to be honest with you, not just from a standpoint of I don't feel like we are there yet for soccer internally at YSN, but Steel Valley Soccer is doing a wonderful job,
Right.
wonderful job. And I'm not trying to take anything away from them when they try to do what they do for that sport in particular. Like, they can be the kings of that because they're far and away the best you're going to get in this valley. Like, I'm not trying to take any sunlight from them because they do such a good job. But the reality is we're not even close to the job that they can do. So why do it? I'd rather support them in their efforts than try to do something and split the votes or take away anything from the kids. So football and volleyball, I think we got a lock on it. I'd love to do more, but obviously, that involves more people being involved. It involves, more communities saying, hey, we think this, and providing stats. That's the biggest one. Like, I love you, Mom, but stop sending me, things of your baby boy and saying, he deserves to be it, and he's not even dressing varsity. Like, we can't do that. That's not fair. It's not a big dog. We want there to be a level of credibility as opposed to just, being a complete population or popularity contest. There it is.
And one of the frequently asked questions that we get with Baird Brothers is, how do I nominate people? Well, I think it's pretty easy, DJ. You go to any of our social media platforms and you just send us the player's name, the school they represent, and like you said, some stats for the week, and that'll get them into the conversation.
That was the politically correct one. And the one that I like to say now is the same way you complain. Like, you want to get a hold of us, get a hold of us the same way you complain, about what we do or what we don't do, because that's an easy way to get across to us. But that's all kind of tongue in cheek. But the reality is you can get involved. You can get your nominations, and some of these coaches they get it, they understand it. Alicia Auer is really good at bringing our attention to the Crestview programs, both soccer and volleyball and everything in between. We need that. Sometimes we're looking there and sometimes we're not. With 65 teams, it's tough. We want to get everybody represented. But if one coach continues to say, hey, this is who you should be looking at, here's the stats to back it up, and there's no other ones that we have with stats higher than that, we're going to put them in as long as they haven't won already. So coaches, it's a great way to put your kid's name in lights. And it's a great opportunity for them to win a T-shirt and run with the big dogs.
And when you look at this week's voting, if you're Gerard and you think that you got close but didn't get enough votes to win, hey, you might see Lauren Pallone pop up again before the end of the season. So you never know.
I've got a feeling we're going to see her pop up before the end of the season. I mean, she is an incredible talent.
Well, not only do the votes come down to that, the game tonight comes down with that 1 versus 2 in the power rankings, Lakeview versus Gerard. It's 1 versus 2 in the NE8 for the last couple of years. It's been the game that decided the NE8 the last couple of years, and it's Lauren Pallone versus Tara Lytle. I mean, you can't ask for a better primetime matchup than that.
You are salivating. You were salivating prior to us coming on the air, and you're still like, it's like a steakhouse for you. It's coming. You can almost taste that great game, that great steak. And I'm excited for you, man. If you're gonna bring it tonight, you better bring that heat. Maybe get a player of the week nomination for volleyball this week if it's that good a game.
We have, one, it's going to be hard to top the craziness of last night. That's why I was telling some people, I was like, man, tomorrow night's going to be a really good game, but man, when you have 5 sets and the 5th set goes to 21, like, it's going to be hard to top that. But I'm sure Lakeview and Gerard will put on a show, and it's not the only big volleyball matchup on the network tonight. We have Western Reserve and McDonald, both teams undefeated in that MVAC Scarlet tier early in the season. And this could be one. I mean, both teams in the race. Western Reserve lost to Middle Ridge, So it's going to come down to those 3, I think. Middle Ridge, McDonald, and Western Reserve. So McDonald versus Western Reserve is going to be a big matchup.
Yours truly is being roped into a Brookfield at Crestview matchup tonight, from the sounds of it. So that'll be another good one.
Brookfield was the only team in the MVAC last season to take a set from Crestview. So, and they were the only team in over a year to even do it in the league. So Brookfield can definitely put up a little bit of a fight for the Rebels.
I'm excited. I mean, when you get a text from Q himself and says, "Are you doing this game?" Sure. If you want me to do the game, I've got nothing else to do tonight. Let's roll.
The Brookfield Warriors also has someone that I think is on the all-name team with Lauren Shingledecker.
The all-name team. I like it.
All-name team. Love saying it. It's a fun name to call. They have
Logan too.
Logan Shingledecker too.
Does she play basketball?
I want to say yes. Yes.
I feel like I've called her name playing basketball before.
So you'll have fun, and that Crestview gym is always rocking for volleyball.
The greatest voice ever, Mr. B, Mr. Balputness.
I remember in the first year back from COVID when they had to clear the gym between JV and varsity to make sure that they were fitting the capacity levels. They had to clear the whole gym for Crestview because there was a big enough crowd for JV that they couldn't just let varsity in before. So that's how nuts they take their volleyball down there, and they should because they're one of the best programs in the area.
Oh, I'm excited. I mean, this is my first look at Crestview. Did I do a game last year? Maybe one, but certainly it's my first look this year. I'm excited. That's a program that there's high expectations and they've got high expectations, even though they graduated some ladies last year about what they want to do this year. And anything short of a state title, I think is something that they're looking at. I mean, Alicia was part of that it's national champion team, right?
Right.
So to win a natty, that's pretty good. And you're only growing that kind of appetite for a state championship in her hometown. So I'm excited to cover this one tonight.
And then you got Grace Hour coming into her own, but then you have younger sister freshman Lainey Hour coming into the fold as well. So the hours never stop.
It's 24 hours.
24 hours, man.
It's unbelievable. Like they just round the clock are always never not working, right? The Troy Polamalu thing. So again, you got mama coaching, you got two babies in the nest there trying to kind of carve things out in their legacy. And of course, Hour is a name that we have heard a lot on this network over the last 5-6 years. So Crestview just reloads constantly.
One of the coaches that we had on during I think it was Aaron Gilbert during basketball season. He made the great comment that I think they just breed athletes in Crestview, and it's just nothing but athletes walking the halls of that school because he's amazed every time he looks at a soccer or basketball when he has to play them or his boys basketball. It's like they always just got kids that just know how to be athletic. It's a blessing of riches. Well,
how do we put this? I mean, growing up in the area, there's not a whole lot to do out here other than sports, so that they buy in. And Crestview and Beaver Local and Wellsville and East Liverpool, I mean, you just name it, these programs are almost sanctuaries for kids to kind of grow up and grow around. And Crestview does a great job. You can name a ton more here in Columbiana County that you just go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because like if there's nothing to do, you have to invest your time somehow. And these coaches are really privy to that. And they say, hey, let's play some volleyball. Let's play some baseball. Let's do football. Like, let's weight train. Let's do all this. The thing that I like about Crestview is they're so good about sharing their athletes, like incredible with sharing their athletes, because a small school needs to share their athletes, volleyball, basketball, track, softball. On the boys' side, same thing, baseball, basketball, football, track. It's one of those things where Crestview does it very, very well. And you can tell it because these kids, the majority all love each other, because they're very close. They're still smaller graduating classes, like 100. And some people are going to go, well, I only graduate 20 but let's face it, 100 is still a small graduating class for a school. So to me, it's all very interesting. It's very cool to see and to grow up and still see that, there's more to do now than ever before, especially when we were in school. But the reality is volleyball still takes precedence over there. Basketball still takes sports in general still take precedence over in Crestview and schools like that. So it's really good to see.
And to one up that thought about them cheering athletes, they do it with their programs being as good as they are. I mean, it might be easier to cheer an athlete when your program's in the middle of the pack, or you're not having any players that have the potential to lead you to a state championship or a regional championship. But when you do have those players and you're looking at them playing other sports, you're holding your breath every time they go up for a rebound, or you're holding your breath every time they slide into home with the catcher blocking the plate. And I'm sure they still are able to share so well and work so well as an athletic unit, even with the extremely successful programs that they have that they're responsible for.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but when's the last time you really heard about a Crestview team not performing? Like,
right.
They just have an expectation about their programs over there that this is the level that we want to live at. And if we come in anywhere below that, it's unacceptable. And everything above this watermark has to be championship caliber, whatever that sport may be.
And it'll be fun to get them on the network tonight. DJ, you'll have the call. They are number 4 in the power rankings right now, and they're sitting there, with like I said before the show to you, they have plenty of opportunities to play a lot of teams on that list, not just in conference but out of conference as well.
Yeah, and to represent the power rankings, to showcase why they belong, why they, I think, feel slighted. I have a bone to pick. I do, because I told you yesterday.
I heard this.
I
thought
told
this was
you
coming.
yesterday who was going to be upset that they they weren't represented on the power rankings.
You said Wellsville.
And what happened after your show is I get phone call after phone call and text message after text message. And listen, I'm okay with it.
Right.
But I knew it was going to happen because Wellsville will be on this list at the end of the year.
I was thinking of it, and I think Wellsville right now with the power rankings reminds me of West Branch after week 1, right? Because we all knew West Branch was one of the best football teams in the area, but they did lose their first game to Canfield. So they didn't land on the power rankings because, you just didn't, you couldn't put a winless team on the power rankings. So they didn't hit there. Wellsville's not winless. They've won 2 games. They're 2-1 right now, but they had their big first test and they lost. So, Wellsville's a really good team. They're one of the best teams in the area, but right now they're sitting in a spot where they haven't had another chance to go and really prove it against a really good team yet. So they'll have their chances. They have a tough schedule. They got Columbiana this week. They got, Southern in the EOAC that's in a fight with them to nail. Then they have Fort Fry twice this year. They have a lot of big opponents on that schedule. Just they're in that awkward spot right now where they've lost their first big test and they have to go and tackle another big test on their schedule before they get on that list.
Yeah, it's, again, I know what Wellsville's capable of.
Right.
They said it to me. The people of Wellsville have said it. I'm not going to say anybody internally in that team has said it, but I think there's a feeling and understanding that this could be the best team, but they're going to put challenges in front of themselves. That Western Reserve game was a challenge.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be, I think, listen, call me crazy, I think they're going to be challenged in the EOAC this year. I think
Southern especially.
Yep, they got a big target on their back, and I think people are tired of being a doormat for Wellsville. However, the old adage is, if you want to stop them, right? You better step up to the plate, because Wellsville is not just going to roll over and say, you know what, we're tired of winning. But I think there were some people that took offense to that, which I'm okay with. But I knew it. I walked in yesterday. I said, Ant, you and Ty, you guys get to hang. You get to walk on this one, because there's what, 4, 5 voters for volleyball right now.
Right, 5.
So Wellsville was in mine. I'm gonna say that.
Right.
They did not make it. They did not. I would have had to put them at number 1 in order to get them into the countdown, and I can't do that right now.
I have no problem knowing that they're going to be in the power rankings before the end of the season. Just like we said that with West Branch football after week 1. Like, we knew they were going to get in there. We knew they were one of the best teams in the area in football. They just lost their first test.
I'm
not
sour about
against
that.
a really good team, right? So
I'm sour about that. I got to be honest. And it's nothing to do with West Branch. This early, there should be no teams with losses on the power rankings, especially for football. You know, those wins, those games have a lot more gravity than volleyball games because there's only half the amount. So it's tough for me to vote off a team that's 2-0 that's done their job and say this team's better because we're not playing them off of each other. But when your only loss is to the top ranked team, there's the caveat. There's the asterisk.
It was a close. I mean, it was a back and forth loss. It wasn't like they went into Canfield and got like their
make excuses,
right?
Like,
so it would have looked different if they lost.
Voters.
If they lost 42-0, it would have looked a lot. You know, okay, well, West Branch just isn't there, but they lost 35-31.
I don't buy it. I still think that people would have voted for West Branch. I mean, like, oh, it's just an off game. Canfield's that good. They would have blamed it somewhere because we're seeing that. I'm starting to get more and more used to how people vote, and they vote based on what they know. And let's face it, not a whole lot of people. There's not a whole lot of media around West Branch anyway. You know what I mean? You hear Drew DeShields, you hear a couple more names on. But they're voting based on last year, which is what we should do during the preseason, not necessarily week 1 and week 2. And especially in week 2, people were like, well, West Branch is back. I'm not saying they're not, but how do they get in over a team that's done their job 2 weeks in a row? That's my only caveat. Let's think this through. How are we going to do this? And I don't tell people how to vote. I would never do that. But that's how I vote is, did they beat who was put in front of them? What was the strength of schedule? Like right now, I think we've talked about it in our group chat. Crestview's like the bar for teams. Right. It's okay. If you beat Crestview, you're in contention. And what did you beat Crestview by? So it's just weird how that all goes down. And Wellsville's in the same boat. Like they lost to Western Reserve and everybody wrote them off. It's crazy to me.
We're not writing them off. It's this early. They have other tests. They're fine. I think Wellsville's fine.
I know.
I'm trying to save myself.
Yes, you are. Because there's a bunch of I told you so is coming your way.
They got their chances. I think they have Columbiana this week.
So if they beat Columbiana, they're in. Columbiana's not in the top 10.
No, they're not.
But they got more votes than Wellsville did. I'm just putting it out there.
So if they got more votes, then maybe Wellsville will be in if they beat them.
I know Wellsville is going to be in now because you don't like confrontation. You don't like this. So you're going to be like, all right, I got to put Wellsville in somewhere. Where do I put that in?
All right. Challenge accepted.
Okay. I'm just saying. I told you I would hear it. And I told him exactly who to go to. Go knock on the door of Anthony Hartwig.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't the only one that didn't put him in the list.
Nobody other than me put them in the list. So nobody.
We won't put the other voters' names on blast, but
Ty Bartell.
Nope, TJ Well.
Chris Sigler. There's another one out there. I can't remember. DJ Yoakley.
Anthony Hartwig. All right, let's take a break real quick. When we come back, we have 3 interviews that we're going to share with you with a couple of volleyball players that have really put their stamp on their communities. We're going to have Sam Aulette from Mineral Ridge, her teammate Ava Hewlett from Mineral Ridge as well. And then we're going to dip into Edgewood for the first time as we welcome Edgewood into the family as we talked to Jocelyn Nicholas, one of the senior captains for Edgewood. So we're going to have all those interviews with you next after this break on YSN.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa.
And I'm Kelsey Klim from K-Squared Marketing.
Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships.
We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team.
Your goals, our game plan.
Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
Jimmy Sudman here, Director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
How lucky are we to have not one, but two 18-hole Donald Ross Championship golf courses right here in our backyards. Mill Creek Golf Course was selected by Golf Week as one of America's 30 best municipal courses, continuing to challenge golfers of all levels and featuring PGA professionals, golf instruction, a players' rewards club, kids programs, and a pro shop and grill room for a memorable golf experience. Call or click to schedule your tee time at Mill Creek Golf Course.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers. From sales to financing and even service, we'll help build your perfect vehicle
and lock in your trade value
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing,
regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Now is the time to think about your future, where you want to go, what you want to be. Your future can start now at Kent State Salem or Kent State East Liverpool. We have programs that will open doors and provide opportunities for you to pursue your passion. We are affordable, we are close. You call it hometown, we call it Kent State University. Learn more at www.kent.edu/Columbiana. You belong here.
Welcome back to Running Point. As promised, we're going to hit you up with an interview with Samantha Allett, setter from Middle Ridge, and in my opinion, one of the best setters in the area. Great conversation that me and Ty got to have with her over the weekend. So here is Samantha Allett from Middle Ridge High School. Anthony Herwig, Ty Bartell here with a Middle Ridge volleyball player profile. We're joined by Samantha Allett, the setter, the leader of Middle Ridge. Samantha, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, Sam, let's just start with taking over that setter role from freshman to sophomore year. I mean, what do you attribute all your success to that, and why you were able to find such a great season, just under 700 assists?
I mean, my sister was the setter since her freshman year. So, I mean, I had big shoes to fill once I got to that setting position. And honestly, she pushes me to be the best I can. So I really owe it to her and all my coaches that I've had since I started setting to push me to the best of my ability and just to put the ball in a window so my hitters can attack.
You brought up your sister. I mean, how much of a benefit was it to be able to be on a team with her just a freshman year and to be able to watch her and how she does it, not just in a game, but in practices and in open gyms and the way that she carried herself? How much did that help you come and do the same thing the next year?
Oh, it helped a tremendous amount. She is truly an idol or a role model to me. She always is focused on what she needs to do and doing her job and her role. And it was just so amazing to watch her and play with her and being oh, that's my sister on the court right there. She just did that. it was just like a moment I will never forget.
I mean, you guys too are having quite a season. You guys beat Western Reserve, you beat Jackson Mountain, two real top dogs in this conference year in and year out. You had a big game against Reserve, over 40 assists. What's the confidence like in this Mineral Ridge locker room right now, playing with these teams and beating them?
I mean, it's all just about like the energy right before the game. Like everyone's like getting in their right mind. Like we have to go out and like we have to perform and do what we can and know your role and know what you're doing, and like just becoming like coming together as a team and like forgetting about like the mistakes that you made and just wanting to beat them and like wanting to like play to the best of your. It's like all about like wanting what like you can do on the court, and just like getting everyone focused and like being hyped right before the game and like warm-ups and like telling everyone like it's okay to make a mistake, just like perform right now, like really helps.
I want to talk a little bit more about that Western Reserve win, because it was a team that kind of had your number the year before. And I think probably in the locker room and all the offseason, that Western Reserve game was circled, and you opened the season with them. How much do you think that's going to give you guys confidence going forward, getting that win against Western Reserve and kind of getting that monkey off your back right off the jump?
I mean, last year they beat us every single time they played them, and it always stuck with us. So coming right out the gate, our first game of the season, playing with them and just being able to beat them, like put a huge confidence boost and like showed us like all the work we put in on the off season just like paid off. Like it finally paid off. Like we have our moment now, and now it's like, okay, next game and the next game, and like working to get better each and every game and every single point.
Looking at this season too, but that game, I should say, with Western Reserve, it was 3-1 in sets, but the sets really weren't close in any of those ones. Jackson Mountain was a little bit different. You had a close set. You guys came on top 26-24. How important do you think it is for you guys to play those sets in the regular season? And do you as a player prefer playing in those close sets?
I mean, it was super important. Like those are the games that like we want. And Jackson Mountain had such a scrappy team. Like that first set, barely anything hit the floor, and like they had such a good defense. They played the best defense they probably could have played against us, and for us to like push through and just keep playing every single point and like putting pressure on them to make them play the next ball was like those are the games that we need to help us get better and help us stay focused. And I prefer like games like that are like close and intense and like pushing us to play every single point and showing everyone how good we are and like what we can do in these like tight moments and like, I guess, pressure moments.
In those pressure moments, what goes through your head? I mean, why do you stay calm, cool, and collected in those clutch situations? You know, you need a dig, you need a good set, you know, it's 24-24. But what kind of things go through your head in those kind of situations?
For me, I'm just like, okay, I just need a pass right here. Like, we just need everyone to like relax. Like, we know how to play the game. We've been doing this since any of us can remember. Like, all we need is a good pass right here. And then my job is just put in the window and just be like, okay, like I know what I need to do. I've done this a million times. Like, I got it. And just like kind of being like confident in yourself and like confident in your team, knowing that they know what to do, and then them like trusting you, knowing that you're going to put the ball in the window, and then our hitters just execute putting the ball away. So you just have to have confidence and trust with your team.
What's your game day routine like up until right before a game? Are you one that needs to be with your teammates, have a lot of talk time with them, or do you like to be by yourself and have some alone time?
I like to be by myself or like with a few players, not really like the whole team. Like right before, I like to like get in the zone a little bit, and me and a couple players will go and get Dunkin'. And then we'll load the bus and like we'll get hype on the bus for the JV, or like at home we'll get hype in the locker room. And then once like that start clock starts for JV, I'm like earbuds in, no one talk to me, doing my hair, and then it's go time from there.
What do you guys get at Dunkin' before the game? Like, what's the go-to order to get you guys ready from Dunkin' Donuts?
It depends what day our game's on. Because if it's on a Sunday game or a Saturday game, we'll get food. But on a weekday game, we'll just get a drink, which is strawberry dragon fruit refresher with Splenda in it.
I was going to say, do you do the coffee thing? Do you buy into the whole pumpkin hype that goes on around this season, or are you not about it?
No, I don't like coffee, but some players do. I don't.
Not about it too. I don't know. I mean, I feel like coffee can be like one of those iffy things anyway if you take it right before a game.
Yeah.
While we're on pregame routines, we have to hear about the jumping jacks because it happens before the games. You guys get together as a team, you do the jumping jacks. I know it this year isn't the first year you guys have been doing it. It's a tradition. How did it come about, and what do you think it does for you guys?
Honestly, I think it started with the football team when they started doing, we call them Ram Jacks. And then the volleyball team, when it was my freshman year playing with my sister, they were like, oh, we should do Ram Jacks. So then we started doing Ram Jacks. And then ever since then, everyone's like, we have to do Ram Jacks before the game. So once like the score hits 25 of the JV game, we're out there going Ram Jacks. And I guess it just like gets us hyped. Like it's game time. Like this is what we do before every single game. Like you got to go now. Like we're about to warm up.
Ram jacks are taken seriously too. Like you guys have to be in sync. If you're not, people get yelled at. I've seen it. I mean, does it really give you guys some sense of, hypeness and readiness when you can do them and you guys are in sync?
I mean, yeah, because like in volleyball, you kind of like have to be in sync because like, oh, here's the pass, then here's the set, oh, here's the hit, and then back at it again with like the rest of the volley. So like going in with Ram Jacks and like getting hype like right at the end, like clapping, like get in a little huddle, like have a pregame chat or pre-warm-up chat right before it, like puts you like in the right mindset that we're about to play a game and we better come out on top.
Those underclassmen seasons are always about learning, but now you're in that upperclassmen season where you're more into that teaching role now. So, and what you have learned in your underclassmen seasons, what is the biggest thing that you learned that you feel you can offer to these younger girls as a teachable moment?
Honestly, it's about confidence. Like my coaches have always stressed to me, volleyball is a mental game, and you really have to let go. If you make a mistake, that point that you just messed up, or if you're still in the point that you mess up, like you made a mistake but your team recovered for you, you still have to move past that and be like, okay, what's my next role? And like just really being focused and forgetting about the mistakes you made, because it's all about the next opportunity you have.
Outside of your sister, who were some other upperclassmen that really took you under your wing and kind of showed you how to lead and you kind of lean on now that you're an upperclassman?
I would say Morgan Sigley was definitely one of them for me. Riley Ladd, she was the year before. She always was like had amazing energy and just loved to be around her. She always got you in the right mindset. I would say that would be about it.
As far as the volleyball journey, I want to go all the way back to the beginning of it. I'm sure you were drug along on plenty of volleyball meets and stuff as a kid too, but where did you find your love for the sport and your passion for the sport?
Well, my dad was like always in with like colleges, like as like an equipment manager or like an athletic director. So me and Danielle were really little, and like the volleyball team like scooped us under our wing, and then that's when Danielle got introduced to volleyball. So they would like play with us when we were little, and like we had no idea what we were doing because we were like 3 or 4. And then Danielle like really started to like it, so we got her into like clubs and stuff like that, and then I just like took after her, and I've been playing ever since I was like able to touch a ball, and my love grew from there, I guess.
We got to talk about Coach Lesko because he's a character. He's a loud coach. He's energetic. He gives you guys energy. He has a very tough warm-up. It's not just go through the motions before the game. He'll smack the ball at you, and he'll make you guys play solid defense. What's it like being coached by him, and what kind of things has he taught you, not just about volleyball, but about yourself as a person?
Coach Lesko is an amazing coach. Like he always has something to tell you, like whether it's good or bad, and you really have to listen to him because he knows the game inside and out. I take that for granted that he tells me what I'm doing every single point, because not all coaches do that, but he will tell you what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right every single point. And like him just like being like a tough coach, I guess, would be like getting us ready to because he knows that like we have the potential to be as good as we are, and like he's pushing us to be the best we can. It's just like I'm so grateful that I have a coach like that.
Seeing how serious you guys take warm-ups, I gotta ask what a practice kind of looks like under Coach Lesko, and how, I gotta imagine it's a tough practice.
Yeah, I mean we have a 3-hour practice in the summer, and then we do like stretching and band work, and then we go to like all different variations of pepper with working on ball control, and then we have wall work that's like ball in a wall, like you working on your ball control. We have a lot of hitting lines. We do like play scenarios and like hope like break us up, and we just have to work with who we have. That's basically it.
I'm curious too about your excitement level and the team's excitement level now that you guys finally get to open up at home after winning against both Western Reserve, Jackson Mountain. You got 3 home matchups in a row. It looks like Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. How excited are you to get in front of Ram Faithful with this winning record now? I'm
so excited because we just need people to be there, and like if it's at home, more people will come. Like away games are like, oh, like I'm not going to go that far. But then it's at home. It's like you have no reason not to be here. And like we just bring in the energy every single game, having our fans come and support us, them bringing their energy every single game. It's going to be so amazing.
Middle Ridge gets a crazy student section. There's a reason that golden megaphone sits on the wall up there for the student section. What's it like to be a part of that? You get to be a part of it during the boys basketball season, and then obviously you get to feel it during the volleyball season. What's it like? What's that student section kind of like?
Honestly, it's just like we're all here for one reason, and it's just to like represent our school and support our name and support our boys or girls, whoever's playing, and just to be there and like come together as one and just be then like we all have each other's backs. Like we're all here to support you, and it's just like it's so like amazing to be a part of it, and like them coming, supporting you, and then they'll tell you good game after, and they'll be like, oh, we're so excited for the next game. And it's like, for them to be excited about the next game, it just makes you feel so much better that like, oh, we're playing so good, and like they want to come watch us play again. And like us doing the same thing to the other teams, it's just unforgettable. The swagger you guys have played with in the first couple of matches kind of feels like chip on the shoulder mentality. Do you and the team feel like you guys maybe get overlooked in this conference with all the other big names that are in it from time to time? I wouldn't say we get overlooked. I mean, I feel like everyone's like, oh, Ridge, they have a good program. But I wouldn't say we get overlooked. I feel like they're like, Ridge will make you work for your money. Like, we're going to bring it to you, and you better bring it back to us, is kind of how I feel our name gets thrown around. To extend that, though, was the goal this offseason really to being put to win this conference now that you guys have had a taste of what it's like to be in the top 4, that top echelon competing for it? How much of an emphasis was put on coming away with this MVAC Scarlet Tier Conference title? The offseason was just like, we're going to win. Like, we want this just as bad as you do. Like, we're going to come out on top. Like, we're putting the work in. Are you putting the work in? Like, we're coming out here. We're trying to be the top dog. The goal is to win the conference and maybe even go further into the district and then semifinals and all that stuff. But
so we know there are a lot of good players, not just in your conference, but on your schedule. Middle Ridge plays a really tough schedule. So I'm going to ask this. Who's one player that you play against that you would list, you like the way they play, you'd love to be one of their teammates? Who's one of the players that is an opponent that sticks out in your mind?
I would probably say Olivia Hughes.
That's a good one right there.
That's a good one as well too. I was gonna say too, she's solid as well, and I mean that's a great matchup. You guys still have a home matchup with them too, which is gonna be super exciting as well. I guess I want to know too. I mean, after the matchups too, what's the post game meal like? What's the go-to spot, the go-to hangout spot after a big win for the Rams?
Well, sometimes it depends how late it is. I'll usually go to Chick-fil-A, whatever, depends what time we finish. But if not, I'll go to Permane Brothers and get a sandwich there.
All right. Before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to shout out your support system and all the people that are there supporting you and the people that you wouldn't be where you are without.
Oh, my parents for sure. They've come to every single game. My sister, even when she's in college, she comes down and supports. My grandparents, they haven't missed a game. And the Rams coming out and supporting us all the time.
All right, Samantha, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We wish you the best of luck all season. We look forward to our continued coverage of Middle Ridge Volleyball, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you.
Anthony Harwig here with another Middle Ridge Volleyball player profile. I am joined by Ava Hewlett. Ava, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And let's talk about the being in this volleyball program. I think you took the world by storm last year, and now you're stepping into another year of experience. What's it been like going from last year to this year and kind of trying to grow as a player?
I've definitely been working on my volleyball IQ because last year I definitely struggled with hitting. When hitting, I didn't know where to hit and what times to hit or to tip. And this year, definitely, Coach Lesko's definitely been working with me on that. So.
What do you think in growing in that was the hardest part to grasp or the hardest part to transition from the last level of volleyball to varsity?
Definitely my team, we rely a lot this year more on our team because we know how good we are. So there's a lot more pressure there. And being a sophomore now, it's you have to step up now. Freshmen, you make freshman mistakes, my coach would always say. But this year, it's definitely a bigger role.
When you came in last year, Middle Ridge was coming off a district championship. Their program was at a really high state, higher than it's been in a long time. Was there any pressure as a freshman stepping on that varsity floor that, hey, I have to live up to what the program has been the last couple of years?
Oh, 100%. I've always looked up to Caitlin Lesko. I watched her high school years. And I was like, wow, when I get older, I want to hit like that. So now that's all. I just go at it and hope that it's best.
Man, you guys opened the season with a bang by beating Western Reserve, which is a team that kind of was your bugaboo last year in the conference. What'd that feel like, and how much momentum do you think this gives this group to get that win right off the bat of the season?
Oh, it was the best feeling ever. We knew we were going into the season starting off with this game. We lost to this game, our last game last year. So we're we have to get it this year. And we just all had the mindset of we're going to win, we're going to play all out because we don't have anything to lose. And now we're on top of the world.
What were some of the conversations afterwards in practice or in the next game, trying to stay even and not let that game get you too high and realize that there's a whole season left?
Yeah, it definitely did. Our coach was very impressed with us. But going into Jackson Milton, we knew that they were very scrappy. And we almost lost the first set because we had the mindset of, we can beat them. So we never can let that come too far ahead of us because we always have to be prepared.
What were some personal goals that you set for yourself coming into this season that you really wanted to accomplish?
I want to get more kills than I did last year. And I want to have a higher hitting percentage because last year I really struggled with that. And my serving has gotten a lot better this year. So I want to focus on that too.
What about some team goals that this program set in the offseason and things that you guys as a group collectively knew that you wanted to accomplish as a team?
Our first thing was conference. We lost last year. Our first game, we lost to Jackson Milton, so that didn't help us out. And then we lost to Reserve both times. So we knew going into this, conference is number one. And then our second part of the season, we're worried about districts.
All that being said, the struggles in the conference last year, not being able to win it, you still had a deep tournament run, went all the way to the district championship game. What was that experience like for you, and how much did it teach you about the next level of volleyball and making tournament runs and those high-pressure situations?
Oh, it was crazy. We thought we were going into our semifinals for New Falls. We played Maplewood. And we thought we were going to lose because we knew Maplewood was really good. And we were we can't think of it like that because we're gonna lose that way. So we went into it playing it all, and then we won in 4 sets, and we were like, wow, we're going to semifinals, and it was crazy.
All right, so you come into this year as a sophomore. What are some things that you think you learned last year, not just about volleyball, but just about yourself and the growth and personality?
I definitely learned being a better person and talking more. I'm usually a quiet person, and on the court, that completely changes. I'm probably one of the loudest ones on the court. So definitely talking.
What do you think helps you make that switch? Like you go from a quiet person to as soon as you step on the floor, it's almost like a split personality. Has it always been that way, or is that something you really worked on early in your sporting career?
It's definitely something I've worked on because my coach always said talking, and like if you want to go to college and play a sport, that's all they look for is talking. Do you communicate? Do you talk with your team? So I definitely try to focus on that a lot.
I'm sure that the team chemistry and the bonding that you've made with your teammates has made that a lot easier. What are some of your favorite team bonding activities that you do with this program?
Well, this summer we went to Cincinnati for 3 days to play volleyball. And one day we actually went to Kings Island for like 7 hours we were there for. And it was the best time. We all rode roller coasters. We got food. We just had the best time there, and we really connected there.
A trip to Cincinnati means there's no escaping your team. You have to live with them for a couple of days. You got to get to know them a lot. What teammate did you get to know the most in that trip?
Definitely Gianna Paris, because she came to our school this year from reserve. And so we were all like, oh, she's from our rival school. Like, what is she about? But she's actually very funny and very nice. So I became very close with her.
Because obviously she won a district championship last year. What kind of championship mindset did she kind of bring to the team, and the standard of success did she kind of bring to this program?
She was like, okay, we have to beat reserve. Like, we're going to beat reserve. They don't have me this year. I'm just kidding. But, no, she was like, we're definitely going to beat them. We have it. We have the whole team. We're very good. We got it.
I'm assuming that game meant like the world to her specifically, just going into that place.
Yes, it did. She was so excited.
Now I've seen the pregame jumping jacks. I think they're called Ram Jacks, and you guys do them. The football team does it because it's become a phenomenon in Middle Ridge athletics. What does it do for you, and what kind of things do you like about it, and trying to get in sync as a team before a game?
Oh, I love doing Ram Jacks. Some of my teammates, they're like, oh, this is embarrassing. We're doing it while the gym's quiet. But I'm like, oh, no, it's hyping us up. Like, we're going to do Ram Jacks. We're going to say what school we're from, and we're going to show them up. I love doing them.
Now, from what I mean, you guys take it pretty seriously, too. Like, if one girl is out of rhythm or not in sync, they're going to hear it. So is that, like, one of your biggest fears, to not be in sync on the Ram Jacks?
I mean, I don't think it's one of my biggest fears, but it'd definitely be embarrassing if one of us messed up.
What are some of the childhood fears that you've had, and do you still have them?
I used to be scared of heights, but I like roller coasters. Like walking, like, I don't know, going up on a hill or like looking down, I'm like, oh. But roller coasters are fine. Spiders are another one. I hate spiders.
As we continue to look back on your childhood, what is kind of your first memories with volleyball?
Definitely my mom was one of my crucial deciding factors of I want to play volleyball, because she's played volleyball most of her life. And so as soon as I was like able to learn or like think, she would like help me learn how to pass, set, we'd pepper together. So
you're also a multiple sport athlete, so what is it kind of like getting the mental switch between sports and going from volleyball mode to basketball mode?
It's definitely a big switch, and it's definitely conditioning wise, it's a lot different from volleyball to basketball, running up and down the court. But I love both sports, and
you love both, but I have to put you on the spot and ask you which one is your favorite.
I would probably say volleyball, definitely, because I come more natural at it.
You know, this Middle Ridge student section is widely known. You got the golden megaphone in that gym for a reason. What's it like playing in front of that student section? And then when you get to be a part of it, what's it like to kind of be a part of that atmosphere?
I love when there's a student section at our games. It makes me play so much better. It brings up all of our energy. We're like, okay, our team's here, our school's here, now we have to show them what's up. And sitting in the student section, oh, it's crazy. Like when our boys play against McDonald for basketball, that's probably one of the best student sections you can have.
What's your favorite sport to be a part of the student section for?
Definitely basketball.
And when you look at some of the things that make Middle Ridge unique and the student body unique, what are some things that kind of stick out to you?
I think it's nice how we all come together. Like, we're always supporting each other. We're always there for each other. We come from one school, so we're there for that school. So we're always there for supporting each other. I think it's awesome that our community does it. And all my friends, parents, they're always like, oh, like you're in this event. Oh, I'm gonna come watch you, support you. I'm like, oh, thank you.
I know you just barely started your sophomore year, but they say sophomore is the hardest year of high school. What are some classes that you think are going to give you trouble? What classes do you like taking in school, and what kind of things do you like to study?
My favorite subject's math. This year, I'm taking a STEM Algebra 2 class, and I'm really excited for that because I love math. Also a fan of science. I'm taking biology this year, so I'm excited for that.
Have you already started to figure out kind of what career path you want to travel down?
I'm leaning right now towards being a lawyer. I'm not sure what kind of lawyer yet, but I think I definitely want to.
Got to be real. I did not see that coming. You said math and science.
I know.
I feel like lawyer came out of left field. What drives you to that when you love math and science so much?
I don't know. I mean, I always thought about being an engineer. That was probably like always my one go-to. But I don't know. Something about being a lawyer just seems fun.
What about like the little kid dream job when you were little? What was the thing that you really wanted to be the most when you were maybe 5 or 6?
Oh. It was probably like being an FBI agent or something. Watching.
Hey, that goes right into your criminal justice degree right there.
Yeah.
What was your favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
Probably Looney Tunes. I loved Looney Tunes when I was little, watching Tweety Bird.
If you could live inside any cartoon world, what world would you want to live in?
Tom and Jerry.
Okay, so a lot of violence in that show.
Yes.
What character would you want to be more? Do you want to be Tom or do you want to be Jerry?
No, I want to be Jerry.
Jerry usually wins, so that's a good choice. Yeah. When you look at some of the things that you like to do with your friends, the hangout spots, what's the best hangout spot in Middle Ridge?
We have a really good ice cream place. It's called Jesse's Dairy Cove, and it's right on 46. And me and my friends probably go there all the time. Their ice cream is the best.
Sounds like it might be a hidden gem in Middle Ridge because most people like the handles or the franchise ice cream.
Yeah.
What's it about that place that makes it like a really good ice cream place?
I feel like it's just in Ridge, so it's like, oh, it's in our hometown, plus the ice cream's really good. I personally get sea salt caramel coffee, and it is really good.
I think I have to get explained. Sea salt caramel coffee. That's
yes.
That's that's new. What are some of your guilty pleasure desserts that you like? I'm gonna go with that too, since we're on the ice cream kick.
Definitely ice cream and brownies. I'm a huge fan of brownies.
Nuts and brownies or no?
No.
No nuts. Okay. What about like fudge? Do you like them smooth or do you like them more like a cake?
No, more like a cake.
There you go. Chocolate chip chunks or no?
No.
Oh, I like it. Me and you can get the same brownies every day. What's one thing that you spend a lot of money on that you probably should?
Definitely clothes. I go shopping a lot, and when I do, it's bad.
What was your last impulse buy?
Probably just a lot of clothes. I wouldn't say an impulse buy, just like clothes that I really probably won't need or won't wear a lot, but I still get them.
So what's the favorite clothing apparel store that you go to?
I always go to TJ Maxx and Marshalls, probably one of my favorite two stores.
If we asked one of your teammates like kind of what your style was, what do you think the answer would be?
They would definitely say a mom look. I tend to dress like a mom, and they always say, "Oh, you dress like a mom today." I was like, "Oh, thanks."
I mean, it could come in handy. Do they call you the mom of the team, or do you have that kind of personality too, where you're always like trying to take care of people?
No, I would say we have other people for mom of the team, but I definitely am taking care of people. I do people's hair. I tell them like, "Oh, do you need something? I have it." So I mean, I guess kind of I am a mom.
Since we open that box, I mean, we have to ask it. Who is the mom of the team? Like, who's the one person that comes to mind?
I would probably say either Faith or Sam. They always like have everything that you need, or if you need anything, they're always like, "Oh."
Yeah, that's funny because when we interviewed Sam, she said that like before the game she wants to be alone. Like she puts her headphones in, and she kind of isolates herself. But she's always ready for you guys, and she's always got everything you guys need. So that's a good dynamic there.
Yeah.
Whose parent brings the best snacks to away games?
Definitely my mom. We have a big container full of protein snacks that our coach always makes us eat after within half an hour after we play. And my mom brought a big container this year and just filled it with a bunch of protein snacks.
All right. Who's the best cook in your household, and what's your favorite dish that they cook?
Probably, I don't know. My parents are both good cooks, but I love my mom's stuffed peppers. They're really good.
All-time favorite meal, what would it be?
Steak, mashed potatoes, and some sort of vegetable.
And when we talk about, I want to get some more of the teammates most, and who's the best dancer on Middle Ridge volleyball?
Probably. I mean, I used to dance, so maybe me. I would say either me or Faith, probably.
It's not bad to toot your own horn a little bit. If you think it's you, there you go. What teammate do you think you would trust the most as a getaway driver?
Sam. Sam's probably the best driver on the team.
What teammate would you never want to be a getaway driver?
Gianna Paris.
When you look at one of the teammates that embodies the best leadership, who comes to mind?
I would say probably Faith.
Who is the team comedian?
Liv makes me laugh a lot.
All right, before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to shout out your support system and all the people that have been behind you every step of the way.
Yeah. I would like to thank my parents because they're always at every single game, both of them. If they have something going on, they'll miss it. And my grandparents, too, they're at every single game. And my other family, my aunt and uncle, they try to come when they can. And definitely all my friends' parents, they're always there helping me, supporting me. Like for track, one of my best friends' dads came just to watch me run. It was really amazing. And definitely all my coaches, they're always supporting me and everything. And definitely my school, they're always there.
All right, Ava, thank you so much for joining us today. We love hearing from you. We love covering you all season, and we look forward to hearing from you again real soon.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Edgewood volleyball player profile, the first ever Edgewood athlete to be on YSN, first of many. Jocelyn Nicholas, senior from the Edgewood volleyball team, joining us today. Jocelyn, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
So I guess what we'll start with, since it is our first kind of year with Edgewood and our first chance to kind of dive into this volleyball program, I want to ask, what's the identity of this volleyball program from your point of view, and what kind of things do you think make this team and this program kind of unique?
Our program, it's very diverse. I feel like we have a lot of versatile players. Our coaches, oh my gosh, they ignite our team so much. We have so much energy out on the court. It really keeps us alive, like during difficult matches and such.
When you graduate and someone would ask you kind of what you've learned from this program, what you've taken away from being in it, what do you think your answer to that would be?
To definitely like get through the hard times. There's some difficult matches out there where like the mental game, it's difficult to play and you're getting down on yourself, but like our coaches and our teammates, we all pick each other up, and I feel like I've definitely taken that and like used it in different situations.
Talk about difficult matches. You're looking at your schedule, and I know Ashtabula County volleyball is tough in itself, but then you have all the other teams that you play out of the county. What's it like going through this schedule and really testing yourselves every time you go out on the floor?
Well, for a varsity match, we're usually playing 3 to 5 sets, and we're playing a lot of difficult teams. We've recently versed, I think it was Geneva. I didn't play. I was under concussion protocol, but a lot of my teammates, they were out 5th set. They were exhausted, and we're playing Lakeside. We got Jefferson coming up today, and I'm sure those will be 5-set matches too.
We got this Jefferson rivalry. We've been kind of introduced to it. We've had Jefferson for a couple of years, but now we get both sides of it. What's it mean to you, this rivalry, and what's it mean to you to kind of go up against the Ashtabula crosstown rivals in Jefferson?
Yeah, so I have a lot of friends at Jefferson myself, and because of Club Ashtabula, we all know each other and to verse each other. It's a lot of fun. We're all good players. We got good teams on both sides of the court, and I don't know. It's just like we all ignite each other. We're igniting everyone on the other side of the court, the fans too. It's a very good rivalry.
If we take you back to the early days of your career, what are some of your first memories with volleyball, and what was the moment when you really kind of fell in love with this sport?
Well, when I first joined, I tried out in 7th grade, and I didn't make it that year. So I came back, I practiced over the summer and such, and I came back 8th grade, I made it. And what helped me fall in love with it is just like the feeling when you do something right, like it sounds dumb, but when you're out there doing something right, you get a good pass, a good hit, it feels good. Whether you win the point or not, it's amazing.
So you got kind of like the Michael Jordan story where you were, cut from a team early in your career. You never stopped fighting. You came back, and now here you are, your senior year, you're one of the captains of the team. When you did not make it your 7th grade year, what were some of the things that drove you to work even harder to make it your 8th grade year?
I don't know. Just seeing all of my friends like having fun out there, it just didn't feel right not being with them. So I don't know. I'd take my parents outside, have my dad hit a few balls at my arms, just passing around. And the Club Ashtabula definitely helped a lot. It's our local club team. I joined that in like 8th grade or so, and I learned so much.
Who do you think was the biggest help in your growth between those 2 years when you didn't make the team and then when you made the team the next year?
Harley Dynef. She used to be Lakeside's JV coach. She was my first club coach, and she was just amazing. She knew how much I wanted to be on the team and get better, and she was amazing. She like ignited my love for volleyball. She'd get me all those reps. She'd hit the balls at us, and it was amazing.
There's a lot of technique in volleyball. The passing, the hitting. To be a well-rounded player, sometimes you have to set. What was the hardest skill to acquire when you were learning how to play volleyball?
Definitely passing. I'm a middle now, so I don't pass too much. But getting a perfect pass up to the setter, usually like front right of the court, it's pretty difficult. It just depends. When you're getting older, you're getting all these like different sort of shots, I guess is the first way to say it. I don't know. Yeah, definitely passing. I don't know. It's difficult.
Being a middle is a whole new world, though, especially when you get into the varsity level. You have to be able to read defenses on the fly. How did you grow into that spot, and what do you think your favorite part of being kind of the first line of defense is at the net?
So I grew into the spot during club season. I wasn't a fan of it actually at all. I remember talking to my coach. I'm like, hey, I play outside. I don't know what I'm doing, but I stepped into the role and I learned so much. It's, I don't know, like going up and blocking, getting a good block, and even just a touch itself, it's amazing. It's a good feeling. Being on the first line of defense, you feel powerful.
Like you said, that it wasn't your first choice and not where you wanted to be when they told you. What were some of the things that were said to you that made it kind of okay to step into that role and made you motivated to do it?
I'm trying to think. My coach that year, she said, like, you're a versatile player. To become a versatile player, you can go anywhere. Want to get you more playing time, of course. But to help your team out and just to step up and be like fill in the spots that are missing. It really helps a lot.
All right, so you've introduced us kind of the identity of this volleyball program. What about the school system in Edgewood? What makes it such a special place to be? And when you kind of look back on your past, what's going to make you proud that you went to Edgewood and that you represented those colors?
Well, I do a lot with Edgewood. I do cross too, and then I used to do a track. So definitely like what brings up our Edgewood spirit is definitely like the student body. The student body, we all love each other. We're all pretty close. We're a pretty small school, I think about 400 people. And I don't know, just like the student body, we're all close knit. We're all hyping each other up, depending on like, I don't know, just like the student body. I don't know how else to explain it. We're all just like there for each other. The student sections at our games, they're all hyped up. Football team comes and supports us. It's amazing.
You said it's a small school here. YSN, we have a bunch of small schools, a bunch of big schools. We talk to different players that are from both sides. Do you like having the small school atmosphere where almost everybody in the school because it's only 400? Did you ever imagine what it'd be like if you were in a big school where maybe 400 would be your class number instead of your school number?
Yeah, I could not imagine that. I've grown up with these kids since kindergarten, I mean, I know just about everyone, so it'd be really weird.
What are you going to miss the most when you graduate, from this whole experience of high school?
Definitely my coaches. They've helped me out so much. My coaches are amazing. Like I said, Fowler and our assistant coach Stern, like they just ignite our love just on the court. It's amazing. They hype us up. They're yelling at us, and it's great.
I'm looking at your wall. I'm getting distracted by all the ribbons.
Sorry.
Success everywhere. Give us the story. What are those ribbons for? What are you so successful at?
I also do horseback riding at our county fair and just local shows as well. I do just about everything with my horse. We jump, we do gaming, all that jazz.
Is that something like you grew up with? So you were around horses, so you just kind of fell into it? Or did you kind of say, hey, I want to try this horse thing?
My grandparents have always had horses. To join 4-H was just kind of like, I want to do this.
If you do have a horse, what's its name? And give us a little bit of a shout out to it.
My horse is Xavier. Cat Smoking Xavier is his registered name. He's amazing. I love him so much.
What's your favorite thing to do with him? Like favorite thing to show off?
Probably our jumping skills. Not that I'm the best at it, but it's just fun. I don't know.
I know there's a whole world of horse riding and all these different things you do, the trick riding and all that stuff. What's one thing that you want to do that you haven't been able to do yet with a horse?
Oh, shoot, I don't know. I feel like mounted shooting would be pretty cool.
What about some things that you do outside of all that? Because you keep yourself busy, like you said, cross country, volleyball, horse riding. In your downtime, what kind of things do you do to kind of relax your mind?
In my downtime, I also have a photography business, and I usually just edit in my downtime, and it's not bad.
What's your favorite thing to take pictures of?
Definitely sports, like any type of sports.
So like when you're not playing, are you out there taking pictures of your classmates?
Yep, because I'm on concussion protocol right now, so I'm on the bench with my teammates taking their pictures.
What's your favorite sport to shoot?
Might be football. Maybe football, I think, or basketball.
Do you have like the one shot that you've taken that is like your favorite, the one that really came out like really good and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the best one I've ever taken?
Yes, yeah. I took a picture during a club volleyball tournament, and it was of Gianna Decato, St. John's outside hitter. It was amazing. My favorite shot.
I want to talk a little bit more about your club experience. When you go through that, you get yourself to be introduced to a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life and different schools. What has that experience done for you and taught you about yourself, being able to not just play with your Edgewood teammates, but then go and play with teammates around the county?
Yeah, so to play with different teammates around the county, like I said, I've made lots of friends. Club volleyball, I mean, like I've learned so much, not just from my coaches, but my friends as well. And our coaches for club are typically other coaches from around the county. So when we play them like during school season, it's just, I don't know, it's amazing. I love it. It's like you're reuniting, I think is a good word. Like it's a great feeling.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here for a minute. Who's your best friend that doesn't wear the Edgewood volleyball jersey?
Harley Schellenberger. St. John's Libero.
What about someone that you play against that you haven't had a chance to play on a team with that you look at and you love their game, you love how they play, and you would love to play with?
Definitely Remy Ryan. She is Jefferson's outsider, I think. She's amazing. She's so nice and so kind, and her energy is it's great.
Tell you what, I had a chance to call her game on Thursday against Poland. She's the only senior on that team, and she's a great leader. Talking about leadership, you're also called to be one of the leaders of your team. How would you define your leadership qualities, and what kind of things do you think you bring most to the leadership role?
So I feel like I bring a lot of comfort to the underclassmen. You know, I take them under my wing. A lot of them are my friends. You know, I remember coming in as a freshman being so afraid of the upperclassmen, and they all brought me in as their friend, and it just made me more comfortable to mess up and like to correct myself.
You obviously have to learn to be a leader in your younger ages. Who were some of the people that taught you how to lead, and kind of were those examples for you as you were growing up?
Maddie Merlot, she was a class of 2020. She was our middle hitter my freshman year. And then Dylan Myers, he was on the soccer team, and I did marching band with him.
When you look at your career at Edgewood, and you know when you graduate and look back at it, what are going to be some of your favorite memories that you have, not just with your volleyball team, but with your high school experience?
Well, I do marching band as well, and just being out in the stands, cheering with everyone. You know, just when we're winning the game, everyone's all hyped up. Same with volleyball. It's just like the good memories are always when we're all together, the student body's all just supporting each other and being so like excited for what we're doing.
What instrument do you play in marching band?
I play the trumpet.
All right. Have you kind of worked at that for your craft your whole life, or
Yeah.
what's your favorite song that you guys play in marching band?
Oh, this year, I don't know. I can't really decide. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I think we used to play the Avengers. That was pretty cool.
What's the first song you learned how to play on the trumpet?
Oh, I think Happy Birthday. I'm not really sure.
What do you think the hardest like piece or song that you had to kind of learn how to play for the trumpet was?
It might have been Can't Stop Believin', you know, the guitar solo.
Yeah.
Trying to play that on the trumpet, and that was pretty difficult.
What's your favorite thing about marching band and being part of that experience and being part of that end of Friday nights? Because there are some people that go to football games just to see the band.
So our band, we have about almost 150 people, I think. And to be a part of the band, it's amazing because there's so many people, you know. You meet people from all ends of the school, people that aren't just in volleyball or aren't just in track or even cross country, you know. I think what's so great about it is just like you're all getting together to make one sound and just to put on a show for everyone. It's just amazing.
And as we venture towards the end of your, high school career, we have to ask, what are the future goals? What kind of things do you see yourself doing in the future? What kind of things do you want to kind of pursue?
So I definitely want to pursue coaching in volleyball, and then as well as continuing my photography career, continuing everything with my horses, you know. I want to take what I'm doing up to the next level.
What do you think would be some of your coaching philosophies or things that you would do as a coach that would, stand yourself out?
I feel like as a coach, I would stand myself out as just like, it's okay to mess up, but here's how we can correct it. Because I remember when I was younger, my coaches would physically show me how to correct everything, and that helped so much.
As you said, you were in concussion protocol, so you had to sit on the bench. Did that kind of show you the coaching perspective of the game, or you were able to kind of be a second coach on the bench during that time?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I was sitting right bench with my coaches and everything, and I get to hear them say like all these corrections to our players, and it helped me learn a lot and what I could do to be better.
What teacher are you going to miss the most in the Edgewood School District?
Well, definitely my coach Fowler, of course, and then maybe Mr. Hill. He's a pretty good teacher.
All right, before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to thank your support system and shout out all the people that have been there for you throughout your whole career.
Yeah, my parents, especially my friends, have been so supportive of everything I do. My coaches, Steve Crayer, athletic director, Michael Notar, our principal, he's amazing.
All right, Jocelyn, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. It was great to get to hear from you. The first athlete to be from Edgewood, the first of many on YSN. Thank you so much, and we'll look forward to talking again real soon. Sorry, I muted myself to not be on, not have a hot mic during those interviews. But those were 3 great interviews with 3 fantastic volleyball players, and I was so excited to kind of get introduced to the Edgewood program. I know we just signed them, and I'm happy to dive into their athletic programs and start talking to their athletes. And that was the first of many that we're going to have on YSN, I'm sure, as we go along. But I was very impressed with this one, Jocelyn Nicholas. How about this? Volleyball and cross at the same time, and then horseback riding that she's very successful at. She had all those ribbons on
You
her
can
back
see,
wall.
yeah, all the ribbons.
And then, in my off time, I just own a photography business.
I mean, you look at that, and kudos to you, Ant, because Craig and Eric are saying it. Great interviews, great job. It's one of those things where it's not always easy because you don't always know the intel that you want to, and you got to ask those qualifying questions and kind of dive down the rabbit hole, so to speak, a little bit. But you did a great job with those, especially with Jocelyn. I always think, and this is crazy, but I always think it's easier whenever you don't know a whole lot about that person.
Right.
You're asking legitimate questions and getting some good answers. And, I like interviewing the best out of everything that I do. And it's easier for me whenever you throw a dad joke in there somewhere and you crack them up a little bit. And then, things seem to go a little bit smoother the rest of the way because they feel a little bit, the ice is broken. They feel a little bit more at home, and you did a good job with those interviews.
I'm right with you. Every boot camp or academy that we have every year, we always go around and say, what's your favorite thing about working for YSN? And my answer had been the same every time we had one. Like, it's telling the stories of these athletes, and that's how we get to do it. We get to have these long form interviews where we just get to know these athletes, and we get to tell their story, tell what they're walking, how they're walking through life, maybe where they're coming from. Some of them we get into, we've had interviews where they get into some of the struggles they've had and the adversities that they've faced, and we get to tell those stories. And that's one of the most rewarding parts of this job that we do.
Certainly. And again, it's our job to tell that story. It's our job to get it out there and let people know what's going on. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but during your interviews, we had some breaking news come across. Beaver Local canceling their game on Friday because the other team, Quinn, who was it? Minerva, has COVID. So Beaver Local
getting bit by that.
Yeah, COVID is still peeking its head up. So Beaver Local looking for a game. I just texted, Niles is looking for a game. Beaver Local and Niles might be interesting, given the fact that neither one now has a week 3 opponent. So I don't know. I mean, that was one of the things that kind of circulated, the Beaver Local to the NE8. You heard those rumors. You heard that windmill. To me, it makes too much sense. At least take a shot at it. And if Niles, because of their situation, can't play, at least you had something. At least you gave it the old college try, so to speak. So, yeah, and it sounds like it's not going to happen because the teacher strike's it sounds like it's coming. I don't know enough about that to put any intel in it. But I'm sure that Josh Sigler does a phenomenal job there as the Beaver Local AD.
We even had a spam account in a while. Pop on. Fake Jeff Collins account, head coach of the Georgia Tech football team. But
you don't have to put them up there.
Right? I know. It's just nice to have.
You're just opening up the door for future spam accounts.
I know. No, the breaking news that I saw while we were doing those interviews was out of Mayfield, which is just in Canton. It's not too far away. There was an emergency plane landing in their sports facility outside of their middle school. So like not like a huge commercial jet, but like a passenger like a little small passenger airplane had to emergency land at the middle school in Mayfield, which is not too far away up towards Canton.
Wait,
I was like,
who did this again?
It just happened today. It was all like it popped up on my Twitter feed. Breaking news that like a small plane,
like a
had an emergency landing. It was no one was really badly hurt. Some minor injuries taken to the hospital, but it happened like right outside of Mayfield Middle School. They had to land on their like sports facility.
Mayfield, isn't that in Cleveland?
No, it said it was up towards Canton. Maybe it's in the Cleveland area. Maybe it's between Cleveland and Canton.
I feel like Mayfield. We ate in Mayfield. I'm pretty sure at the Winking Lizard on Friday, just outside of University. It's about 7 minutes away from University, which is Hunting Valley. That's kind of wild.
I mean, like that just maybe like could imagine if that happened, like, you know, while you were in school or while you were sitting in school taking class, and this plane just kind of comes out of the window and lands in the field across the street. Like, what?
Nope.
What?
No thanks.
Oh,
No
man.
thanks. I remember. Yeah,
it wasn't a disaster. No one was seriously hurt, so this was something that we can kind of not laugh at, but kind of talk about the hypotheticals of if it happened somewhere we were living. But that's just a wild story that I saw pop up today.
Yeah, I mean, the Beaver Local one doesn't hold a candle to that,
right?
But, you know, it still sucks. Like this stuff has got to end at some point. You know, the cancellations because of COVID. You know, I know everybody's trying to be safety first, is always the case, but come on now. Like this is year 3 now of COVID and football, and right. You know, I don't know. It's tough to tell because the protocols are out there. You just never know. It's so frustrating. Canceling games is so frustrating for whatever reason, whether it be COVID or something else. Like you're only promised 10 games, right. And you're not even promised that anymore. And I feel like I'm a broken record, but like these kids, this is what they focus on. Like these seniors, this is what they get. This is the end of the line for some of them. And we're canceling games and, you know, I don't know. Another reason that I think that playing teams from, you know, far away, because you see it a lot when teams are playing each other from far away, because they're like, well, do we really want to go? You know, let's just cancel it. There's just, I hate when games are canceled because, again, that's somebody's opportunity, and you never know. Somebody's going to have a good game. Somebody's bound to have a good game, and they're losing that opportunity. So it just, I know it's part of life now, but it sucks.
You know, the heartbreaking situation is the one going down there in Wyndham, because, you know, you go into a season, you have 20 guys on your roster, you know, more than most, coming from a small school, you have 20 guys on your roster. You have this kind of brotherhood mentality, us against the world. We're this tight-knit group. We're going to go and fight with each other. And you do, but then just the unluckiest start to the season where you have injuries pile up just in 2 games, and all of a sudden you just don't have enough players to even go out there and compete.
I have a problem with that. I mean, not the injury. There's nothing you can do about injuries.
Right.
Injuries happen, but it's just mental toughness, right? From that standpoint, you know, and I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people are not injured, but it's like back in the day, you got people that are wrapping things up. You know, you never knew what a concussion was until the early stages of 2003. Now everything is, you know, 6 weeks, you're on the bench, and it's frustrating. It's got to be frustrating for a kid. It's got to be frustrating for a family because, you know, when injuries pile hang on. Good. When injuries pile up like that, it's detrimental to everybody else. You know, I think they said 12 Bombers left that are healthy, at least a little bit, enough to play. And you know, some of those have to be seniors, you would imagine, right? And you just sit there and you go, man, what am I doing? And we talked yesterday about co-ops and combining. Is that an option for Wyndham at this point to finish the season, to let their kids go somewhere else or combine with another school and finish the season under another banner, you know, like they did in the Mighty Ducks, you know, like ducks will fly under the same banner,
right?
You know, like that thing. Like, I don't know. Like that's a decision that I wouldn't want to make. But if I'm someone in the leadership position at Wyndham or a team or a district that's out there, it might be the best decision for your kids. And I'm not saying that sending your kids somewhere else is going to be a great decision, but it's one that you might have to suck up and say, hey, we got to do what's best for our kids. And if that's sending them somewhere else to play football so they can be part of something that's special, then that's something we have to do, because right now it's not working.
Yeah, I mean, try as you might, you go into a season with a roster size like that, you're just hoping and praying that you can't have one really bad thing happen, because if one bad thing happens, then you're in trouble.
And COVID sucks. I mean, Craig and Eric are saying it perfect. It's terrible. It's so, and no matter which side of the fence you're standing on, it sucks. It's a bad situation for everybody involved, because nobody still to this day knows how to handle it.
I know.
Everybody handles it in different situations and with, different gloves, and some are kid gloves and some are adult gloves. And it's just interesting to me. And it sucks. You feel bad. You feel bad for Minerva. I feel bad for Beaver Local, excuse me. And you feel, the Niles situation isn't much better. You feel bad for Niles. You feel bad for those kids, because everybody's counting on Niles to have a big year this year. This does not help.
No, it's all three of different situations too, different reasons why games are getting canceled.
Well, and you don't want to get into that.
No, but it's just like, but usually it's like, maybe one cancellation a week, in a week, and you say, okay, it's because they're injured or someone's sick or whatever. But now we have three different, rescheduling for three different reasons. It's kind of one of those wacky weeks that you don't really see in a lifetime.
Health, attrition, and strike.
Right.
And for those reasons, three teams potentially aren't playing this week. And it's unfortunate, and you wish everybody the best in all those situations. But, our job is to have the back of the kids. And that's, from a kid's perspective, from an athlete's perspective, it sucks right now if you're in any of those situations.
And when you look at it, it might be better that it happens all in one week instead of it being spread out. I don't know what side, like, would you rather have a bunch of bad things happen at once, or do you like having them kind of spread out and sprinkled? What side of the fence do you say? Because I know some people are like, oh man, if it's going to happen, it better all happen now so I can get this getting over with.
Well, imagine let's put this situation in week 10, to your point, right? If all of this happens in week 10 and you are on the fringe of playoffs and not, right, and this happens, like, you're heartbroken. You're absolutely heartbroken, because that's the difference between playing in another week or not. And people will sit there, well, you should have won this week. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. But are we going to see more of this in the coming weeks, where you've got COVID situations? Listen, when it starts, the weather breaks again, and it's going to break pretty soon. Is it COVID? Is it natural, regular people being sick? Like, that's what happens. Is it allergies? Is it all this stuff? Like, anytime you cough anymore, people look at you like you got three heads. Yeah, now, Anthony, you're on a different level. Craig and Eric saying Wyndham might have to do what Sharpsville and West Middlesex did and combine teams. And that's kind of what we talked about yesterday in Power Hour at length. And it's true. At some point, you have to look out for your kids, and because the parents are going to want answers, and they're going to want, why does my kid have to suffer because X, Y, and Z? Right. And they have good reason for that. But at the same time, you don't want to play without your teammates. And if your teammates are down or your teammates are injured, you stand with them. But, what stinks is that the 12 guys that are left for Wyndham, they don't want any more guys to get hurt. So as I understand it, this is a 1 week thing. This is a 1 week thing where, okay, let's see if we can get healthy and see what happens. But some of those injuries I'm being told are pretty severe, are pretty, some of them could be season ending injuries. And now what do? You're 2 weeks into the football season. You're going to be 3 weeks after this week, after it's canceled. You got 7 weeks left. That's, almost 2 months of football left. What are you going to do to make it up to those boys?
You're walking on a tightrope. Even if you get a couple of them back healthy, it's like, well, now we can't afford any for the rest of the 7 weeks too. I mean, you are really walking a razor thin tightrope if you continue the season with, even if it's 16 guys.
Okay, so let's add in another caveat: an official shortage that is funneling its way down from Cleveland. funnel its way over from Western Pennsylvania. At some point, we're going to feel it. So what happens when we don't have officials? People are going to blame officials. They're going to blame athletic directors. They're going to point the blame on somebody. But it ultimately hurts the kids. It's just, it's a bad situation. There's no other way to put it. And you feel awful for these kids, but everybody's trying to get it in, but it's tough. If that had to who I'm lost on this one. If that had to who would Wyndham combine with? I'm not sure.
Okay, I think that's what he's going for.
That's a good question. I forget who they said yesterday. Hubbard? I think Romo said Hubbard was the closest one.
Do you think they'd go for like another small school or go to a school that's already big and say we're just gonna trickle our kids in there? Because Hubbard division wise is way bigger than Wyndham.
Well, 100%, but it probably is not going to affect the numbers as much as it would if you did another small school. I don't know. It's okay, Mike. Do you go the route of, a Pie Valley, a Grand Valley, another, an Ashtabula team,
right?
That I think that's a smart way to go because they're familiar with each other. I think they'd, I don't know what school is in what situation who would welcome, a Wyndham in with open arms or any school in with open arms, but we see it happen in Western Pennsylvania with Sharpsville and West Middlesex. Now, the one thing is, and I don't know how the rule is in Ohio, we talked about it yesterday. If you co-op, you can't go to the playoffs. So what school would want to say, putting the faith in humanity above the faith in the playoffs?
And then like you do that and you help the kids from the other school that you're welcoming in, but then you tell your kids that because of that you can't make the playoffs now.
I'm not gonna get on my high horse, but I'm gonna say this. If I'm in a situation that I can help out more kids and teach something to young men and women like this, the good of everybody is better than the good of a few. And if you can teach a lesson by being inclusive and bringing in another school that is in dire need and make a good situation a better one, or a bad situation a good one, in that case, I would do it. Playoffs, listen, the odds of you winning a state championship is not real good. It's not real good. And that you look at that and everything has to go your way. And I'm not saying that it's impossible by any means, because we know it's not. But think about the everlasting legacy that you leave, the impact that you create by opening your doors to someone in need from that situation. And you teach a lesson to all your guys in the locker room is football is the fraternity, right? We are just a chapter. The game is bigger than everybody, and that's, you play the game because you want to play the game, not for, this is going to sound really, really PC. You don't play it for trophies. You don't play it because you love the game. At the end of the day, people miss the games. They don't miss, they miss the camaraderie. They don't necessarily miss the, championship moments. While that's great and all, only one person gets to raise a trophy at the end. Right. And I don't know, Ant, how do you feel on this?
And even when you ask guys that have won a state championship what their favorite memories with that team were, it's going to be the celebrate, not the actual game, not the championship moments, just the team moments. And those can happen anywhere. You can celebrate anything. If you get a winning record, you beat a rival at the end of the season and you can't go to the playoffs, but you beat that team that maybe on paper you're not supposed to beat. Celebrate that and make that be one of those moments that those kids remember for the rest of their life. You can do that anywhere. It doesn't have to be at a state championship. That moment would be, if you let people in, that would be a really big opportunity for you to immediately change lives.
I'd be
And
interested to
it
see
could change
if
the lives
Coach.
of your own team, and could change the lives of the team that you're being inclusive for.
I'd be interested to see if Coach I would even take that, as something that could happen, because he's got a son on the team. I think he's got a couple of
Chase
boys
I on the team, so of
And
course
Ja-
he wants
and-
the best for him.
Yeah, he's got two. I think he's got two on the team, if I'm not mistaken. So, you just wonder. You wonder what could be, and cancellation. I get it. It's sometimes you're up against the wall and you got to cancel. But at the end of the day, man, that does not do anybody any good. There's going to be frustrated parents. There's going to be frustrated kids. And I'm not going to sit here and here we go. Garfield and LeBray, neighbor Wyndham. Thank you, Mike. I'm gonna say LeBray could use some horses right now. Mary says YSN would love you to just look at what happened to Struthers varsity girls volleyball in that whole situation. I'm unaware. Are you aware?
I don't know. I didn't hear anything. I saw them play on Saturday on the network at West Branch, and they had a really good game against Howland where they went 3 in a 3-set match, and they were competitive. So, but as far as what's going on, I don't know.
Yeah, we're sorry, Mary. We're not privy to that, at least to this point. I have and I'm being honest, this isn't just a play. I have no idea what she'd be alluding to. And if it's bad, we don't necessarily want to bring any attention to it, especially if it's something internal. But this is a different story. This is Garfield, LeBray, neighbor Wyndham. LeBray is having a kind of rebuilding year. I think that'd be a phenomenal gesture, of combining those two teams. I don't know if that's something they want to do, but in the world of open enrollment,
right?
I don't know how it's any different from that standpoint.
The good thing is there isn't it isn't unprecedented. There is somewhere you can look and say, how did they do? What did they do to go about it? And there are examples you can look to. If it was an unprecedented situation, you'd be kind of fighting through all these logistics of how do we do it? What do we go about doing it? That would probably make the decision even more complex.
I think the flip side of that coin would be, okay, I don't want to see our kids go and play for somebody else because they might not come back. I can see that point. I can see that point, because you might like it. You might hate it. You might absolutely despise it. I mean, I'm sure that, the most athletes are similar the way we are is they bleed for their colors that for high school,
Right.
The brown and white for East Palestine, the black and gold for Crestview, burgundy and gold for Southridge. It goes on and on and on. But in reality, I think we all realize when we graduate that we all just were products of going to high school and being representative of our schools. And, some of my best friends are kids that graduated from other schools, we met a little bit later, but after we kind of lowered the daggers for each other, we realized we had more in common, which was, the sports and baseball and football and whatever that may be. So, I'm interested. This could be very, very interesting. Not bad. But a lot of their girls got injured. 4 girls with broken ankles. That's Struthers?
It's rough. I mean, we just apparently, which is rough because we just saw them. Like I said, we just saw them play on Saturday on the network at West Branch.
We obviously thoughts and prayers go out to them for a quick, recovery and healing. But that's just bad juju. That's just bad luck.
Hubbard had 3 girls on the bench last night for their varsity team, and they were bringing up some girls from JV. And sometimes you get in those situations, it sucks. You try to. Koa Hogue was telling me that they're trying to maybe bring up some girls from the freshman team to be on the JV to fill in some spots. But it's when you see a team go through that, like, there are 2 ways you can respond. And Hubbard was great last night because they just said, the girls that came on the floor said, I'm going to give everything I got for this situation. And I love teams that are going through that kind of adversity that just kind of meet it with effort. They kind of made that a match last night of nothing but pure effort on defense. So I love it when you're able to respond from adversity with that kind of mentality.
Well, and I forget who I was talking to about this. Is some teams aren't even fortunate enough to have two volleyball varsity teams that can scrimmage each other during practice. Because some teams, I mean, smaller schools, you're looking at varsity and junior varsity, and it's hard for your varsity to get better when you're playing JV. And there's no disrespect to JV, but they're JV for a reason, right? You're not really going to help varsity, and a lot of them are freshmen and sophomores. And you know, young ladies grow into be stronger, faster, bigger, you know, when they're juniors and seniors. So it's tough from that standpoint. You'd love to have two varsity programs going head to head, so to speak.
And in
so
a sport
you know,
like volleyball, like in basketball, you mix them up and you throw some varsity in with the JV, and you can say we're going to scrimmage each other, which is fine in basketball. But in volleyball, when you're so dependent on communication and being in sync with each other, to throw that off by saying that you're going to go play with these JV girls, and then we're going to bring this JV girl and put her in this, it would throw out the rhythm, and I think it would be kind of one of those tough decisions to make in practice. Or are we going to throw off the rhythm of our offense by trying to put an even scrimmage together?
Well, it's chaotic is what it is, because you're trying to look at, okay, who's coming up the pipeline, and well, that setter can make that hitter look that much better. But if that setter's varsity and that hitter's JV, yeah, they should look better, because the sets are going to be way more, top of the line. They're going to be 8s instead of 4s. But if you're varsity, as you said, playing JV, it's trouble, because iron sharpens iron. Play-Doh does not sharpen iron. And I'm not sitting there trying to say that JV's Play-Doh, but usually your best players are going to be on varsity. You're not trying to hold down JV players. If you have a JV player that is a varsity player, they're playing with that varsity team. You're not just staging them and holding them just in case. Like, if you're in that situation, your JV's playing varsity. No doubt about it, unless your coach is absolutely asinine.
You're right. Like you said, like there are some teams that have the girls that'll play maybe 2 quarters of JV or 2 sets of JV, and then go in the locker room and get their varsity uniform on and spend the rest of the night with the varsity team. But usually in practice, those are the girls that are playing with your varsity, and JV has to go in life without them.
Because you're trying to get that player to level up throughout the year. You're trying to get them better. And again, it's schools with small numbers. They have super challenges, and it's hard to get better during the season outside of game time, because practices aren't practices aren't necessarily making you better if there's not much competition to go up against.
But on the flip side, that's why some of these programs continue to bring up players, because their JVs are going up against the varsity, and that will make you better as a JV player. So it's really complimenting the JVs, the people you're bringing up, and saying we're making them better for our future by constantly having to go up against these really good varsity players.
Well, let me know whenever they have a JV state championship. You know what I mean? Like, that's great that they're getting better, but it's the law of the lid. If you're an 8, and you're not going to get any better than an 8 if you're only playing 8s. You're going to be an 8 or below. So I just.
But if you're a 4 and you're constantly playing 8s, then maybe you can work yourself up to an 8 by the time you get to that varsity level next year.
Yeah, but
and then you'll be ready for the moment.
Get better.
What?
Your 8s will never get better.
Right.
If your 8s are playing 4s, they're never going to get better.
Right.
So that's the trouble is we're trying to build, underneath, but the problem is we're not building at the varsity level because they're not being challenged enough. And I think that goes a long way, but coaches' hands are tied. What are they supposed to do? You can only have so many scrimmages. You can only do so much. And obviously you can only play who's in front of you.
Bring in the men's basketball team and have them go up as blockers.
No.
Some staffs are blessed enough with coaches that are just getting out of college careers or in the middle of just getting out of high school careers. They can actually go in and be pretty good stand-ins for a scrimmage too.
Well, I've heard that as well, but I've also heard problems with insurance nowadays because they don't want people getting hurt on their watch. Yep. And the schools are the schools are responsible for it. And, you've got to sign waivers and do all this stuff. And
that's something at the outset. Like, I don't even think about it. I just see a practice. Like, oh man, Q's a pretty good athlete. Just, go up and hit against your players. Well,
snap your ankle. All of a sudden the school's, responsible.
Dang, you're right. That's true. All right. We have to get out of here for the casual sports guys. Give them some time. 2 to 3. They'll be on. DJ, you'll be back for the Power Hour 3 to 4. We have a bunch of good games on the network tonight. Go over to ysnlive.com/live. Pick your game. They're all for free. I'll be back tomorrow with Richie Giuliano, who will have his first swing at guest hosting Running Point on a Wednesday. And then DJ, you'll be back on Thursday. We'll have Ty on Friday. It's going to be a fun week. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this was Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you